Welcome back to the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Craig Ansell. We're in for an exciting time because we're continuing our Ultimate Career Growth Performance series. Today's topics are hard and soft skills. In the prior episode, we talked about transformation, what skills you might need to be able to move from one job to another, potentially pivot, especially if you suffer from downsizing or reduced hours and need to make a move quick. But that's digging deep into your history, digging deep into your work past, and looking and seeing what abilities, what skills you currently have. But this episode is a little bit different. We're going to talk about some of the hard and soft skills you need to do a check and make sure that you have or that you might want to add to your toolkit. The way we're going to get there is to use an acronym, and it's called SWOT. No, not SWAT with the police, but SWOT. The S and the W is what we'll focus on today, and that stands for your strengths, and the W, you guessed it, your weaknesses. It's important to look back and see what skills we possess and what areas we might need to polish up or areas we're lacking. To start out, let's see what hard skills you have. That means we're talking about book smarts, education, training. What potential special skills do you have that others don't? Might want to make a list. It's very good to use when it comes to interviews, times for promotion or pay raises, as well as areas you might want to put up on your resume. So besides general education, such as your schooling, what areas might you have specific strengths in for hard skills that others don't? Are there any special skills, certifications, permits, special degrees that you hold that maybe make you unique and different from others? Do you potentially speak different languages? You know, that last one's a good one to talk about for a moment. There's going to be some skills out there that we naturally possess, potentially being bilingual, and we don't always recognize those skills when it comes to pointing at our unique values, our value proposition, again, for resumes, for interviews, for promotions. So don't take anything that you're capable of or anything that you do for granted. Make sure that you document everything. If you have a difficult time looking at your particular hard skill set, right, the trainings, the education that you have, the special abilities, it would be good to sit down with a family member or friend, maybe a fellow student or a work colleague, and go through that and kind of ask, hey, what areas do you see that I possess that are strengths that are different than others? Oftentimes, that feedback can really help get the creative juices flowing, and you're able to start documenting areas that maybe you've overlooked in your own skill set, in your own tool belt. That could, again, separate you from others. Now, before we move on to soft skills, we should talk a little bit more about hard skills. In today's day and age, education is very available to us, and many times at low cost. And in some cases, yes, it is free. For those of you that are interested in reading and still like physical books, don't forget about the library. There's plenty of places online also to purchase low-price books, such as thriftbooks.com. I mention them because I've been using them for years, and I really do like to hold on to my books because I am someone that speed reads, as I mentioned on a prior episode, but also I do like to take notes and highlight certain areas that are critically important so that I can go back and research those later and use them as training tools for myself. So I like to have the actual book in hand. If you're someone that doesn't like the physical book, there's plenty of tools out there, e-readers and Kindles and that sort of thing, where you can get, a trial subscription and check out some books that you like online, then read them at your own speed on your electronic device. And if you really get into that, you can always go ahead and get a subscription. I'm sure there's some low-cost services out there that allow you to read a couple books a month, let's say, and it'll be in areas that you might want to improve. Now, talking a little bit more about formal education, there are some colleges and universities out there. You'll need to do a search online. For example, I just did, and Stanford University quickly came up. Their web address is online.stanford.edu, and they offer a variety of low-cost and some no-cost courses out there. I noticed that they said they're partnered with EDX. Turns out that Stanford and some other large universities have partnered together to provide low-cost and no-cost online education. They're actually created something which is called MOOC, and it stands for Massive Open Online Course Provider. That's something really cool if you'd like to check it out, and I'll put some links in the show notes. So with this wealth of information literally at our fingertips that we can take with us anywhere we go, we really shouldn't have any trouble or create any excuses for getting additional hard skills and boosting your tool set. I think that's a good way to go also, because nowadays the four-year degree or the diploma is not as important as the education and the skill sets that you possess. In fact, it was quite some time ago that large companies like Google, Apple, and some others out there, might even be Amazon, realized that they were actually reducing their talent pools by keeping the four-year degree as a requirement. When they opened up that talent pool by removing that degree requirement, they saw such a great influx of quality candidates. It was something that was hidden from them prior. So regardless of where you are on your hard skill career growth journey, don't fret, don't worry. There's plenty of opportunities out there that use a variety of educational backgrounds. As long as you're willing to go on a career growth journey with us and improve your hard skills, and in a moment we'll talk about soft skills, that's what employers are truly looking for. It's again, the skill sets that you possess or are willing to obtain moving forward in your career growth journey. Now, the other day I read something very exciting. I think the U.S. had nearly 1 million jobs fulfilled last week. That's an amazing uptick and turnaround from where we were in the past, and it's mostly contributed to the mass doses of the COVID-19 injections and more people getting out in public and re-engaging in the physical workforce. So that's great news there. Hopefully we continue on that upward trend. Now on to our second part of this episode. We're going to talk about soft skills. Soft skills complement your hard skills, and they're mostly known as people skills. However, there's such a great variety with the way that we communicate with each other that it bears talking about on this episode to really give ourselves some awareness. Once we have self-awareness of not only how we communicate, but how we interface with and interact with others, it gives us a leg up on the competition. To demonstrate this, have you ever been to a class or perhaps attended a presentation, whether it was in person or online, and when it completed, you just couldn't believe where the time had gone? You found yourself engaged, almost mesmerized by the speaker and the information? Those are people that are able to use their soft skills and to be aware of their environment and modify their communication styles so they keep you engaged, keep you focused on the content with which they want to share. On the counterpoint, have you ever heard a presentation or been to a training, for example, where you keep looking at your watch, keep rolling your eyes? When is this going to be over? Wow, this person really doesn't communicate well. I'm not getting that much out of it. And many times you find yourself distracted and not able to focus on the content at hand. That happens especially if you're assigned a training topic, whether it's in school or in your job, and it's mandatory that you attend. You have to power through it and listen for the information, fight it almost, just so you can get what you need to be able to take the test or the survey at the end and get the proper credit to pass. So there's two examples there, one good, one not so good, of how people's skills work for us and work against us. Considering that now, can you rewind the clock and go back in your head and recall what specific skills were used when those extraordinary speakers shared their information? It can be difficult to pinpoint because sometimes those skills are subtle, meaning we're not really aware of what's going on, but we just continue to stay engaged in the conversation and we don't know why. But on the counterpoint, you certainly know when the conversation's going poorly, or you get distracted and lose attention completely. When we're aware of our soft skills and we work to strengthen them, it really benefits us on many levels. It enables us to navigate our environments better, to not only work well with others, but also to perform well. When we talk about this, it's what was said. It can be the specific word choice used during conversations. It's how it was said. It was the tone, the volume, the speed, and if any words were accented, to kind of draw our attention to them or to that point. Many of us, when we talk, start out our sentences nice and strong, and then as we get closer to the end of the sentence, we kind of drop off. If we're able to fluctuate and regulate our tone, our volume, our speed, our pitch, and throw in some unique word choices, we'll be better at moderating the conversation, keeping someone's focus, and with that, their attention. We should also briefly touch on listening skills. They're critically important to our soft skills, to our communication skills. When we're listening to someone speak, it's somewhat natural for our minds to start drawing connections to what we're hearing. So as the conversation is progressing, your mind is constantly monitoring for things, for events, for thoughts that it has experiences with. This can cause us to somewhat feel natural to want to interject or share our thoughts or our background on that same subject or topic. The problem, though, is we sometimes do it at an inappropriate time. Just because there's a brief pause in the conversation or the speaker takes a quick breath, we almost jump right in at the chance to share our background, our story that somewhat matches or aligns with theirs. If you look at it a little bit differently, have you ever been around someone and just said, you know what, you're a really great listener, or I really feel heard when I speak to you? That's because those types of people know what to look for when it comes to people skills, and they're specifically good at listening. They don't take any chance they can to interrupt just at the briefest pause, at the briefest breath. Rather, they let the speaker conclude their portion of the story or the message, then pause on their own so that they can reflect and interject. The difference there is that you allow the speaker to finish their thought. You then digest everything that was said, and a moment or two later, you can respond either with a similar story, perhaps some questions, or a contrasting point. By the way, earlier, I talked about word choice, and I mentioned it's what was said. However, it's also what you choose not to say. Word choice is very important. Again, the words you choose to use and those which you choose not to use. You don't realize, but you have greater control of conversations than you think. Now, I'd be amiss if I didn't talk about reading body language when you're on virtual calls or in person. That's a great soft skill to have as well, and that's a key part in conversation. However, I'm going to save that for one of our next episodes of our Ultimate Career Growth Performance series. I think we're going to talk about that when it comes to interviews, and maybe we'll add on it when it comes to leadership. I hope you enjoyed today's second part of our Ultimate Career Growth Performance series, Hard and Soft Skills. This has been episode 47 of the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. I've been your host, Craig Ansell. Don't forget to check us out on social media at Craig Ansell and also our website, craigansell.com. We've got a great freebie for you to download. It's 3 awesome tips to help your resume land at the top of the pile. Don't forget to check it out after the show. Also, I'll put links to the things we mentioned in the show notes. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're here to help. You can reach me directly, craig@craigansell.com, or if you have a general question, info@craigansell.com, and we'll get back to you quickly. We look forward to serving you up another episode next week and continuing on our ultimate career growth performance journey together. Hope you had a blessed and happy Easter. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel. New episodes every Monday. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on social media at Craig Ansell on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To book a coaching appointment, download our free guides, or join our email list, check out the links in the description below.